So just hoping that you will be finishing it. Don't keep any work pending, children, because later on you have to now gear up for our the preparations for the final exams. Okay, children. So now today let us continue with our new chapter, that is carbon and its compound, isn't it? Now we all know, if you see carbon, why we are studying carbon as a separate chapter. The reason is because of the numerous compounds of carbon which are found in nature. Okay. Now, if you know, the percentage of carbon in the atmosphere is only just 0.03%, which is a very meager amount. Similarly, Earth crust also contains hardly around 0.02%, which is not, we can say, a not very high amount of gas percentage. But still, it is able to form numerous compounds, and thereby, if you see, carbon exists everywhere. In every part of the nature, carbon is being formed. Now let us just discuss a little about what makes this carbon so unique that it is going to form these many numerous compounds, and what are the various forms of carbon which exist in the nature. Okay, children. Now, before we move on, the reason why carbon is able to form so many compounds, let us just discuss first what are the forms of carbon. Now, carbon basically exists in two forms. One, in its individual form, okay, or the free state. It is existing in its Good morning, children. So welcome back to our new session of the classes. So hope that you all have completed your pending works, but I'm little disappointed, children. Still, many of you have not submitted your art integration projects. It is little saddening that you are not taking the reminders of the teacher very seriously. Please kindly submit it in time. We don't want you to be burdened later on with this work. Okay, children? Because now you have to gear up for the preparations for your final exams. Okay, children? So now today let us continue with our new chapter, that is carbon and its compounds. Now if you see, the carbon we are studying and its compounds we are entirely studying as a separate chapter. Okay, what is the reason? The reason is carbon is found in every part of the nature in many forms, be it in the living matter, be it in the non-living matter. Carbon forms an important ingredient. But surprisingly, carbon is mere 0.03% in the atmosphere and just around 0.02% in the lithosphere, in the Earth's crust. But still, carbon is able to find a possibility of forming numerous compounds. Then the question comes, why or how it is able to form those many compounds when the other elements which are abundant in nature are not able to form those many compounds. So this chapter is dealing all about why carbon is able to form so many compounds. The reason we will discussing. But before that we discuss, let us just talk about in what forms carbon exists in nature. Okay. Now carbon basically exists in two forms. One, the free state, and the other compound state. Okay, children. Now, the free state, in the sense, the carbon itself is able to combine with carbon combines with another carbon atom in order to form a large complex compound. So because of this nature of combining with itself, carbon is able to exist in three forms, okay, in its free state. Now these three forms of carbon which exist in nature, they are also called as what? Allotropes. So what are allotropes? The existence of an element or an atom in different states is only called as what? Allotropes. So due to this, carbon is able to exist in three main states which we find in the nature. The first one is water, diamond. Then the next is graphite. And the very recent discovery we have, that is Buckminster fullerene. So these are the free state, these are the compounds of the carbon which are found in the free state, and what do we term them as? Allotropes. Okay, a little bit about it we'll discuss later. Then coming to compound state. Now when we talk about the existence of compound, what is meant by a compound? When one element is combining with another element. So here carbon is able to combine with other elements in order to form two forms of compounds. One is the inorganic and the other is organic. Okay, so now why do we call it as organic? Something which is found in the in all the living matter. When they die also, it is going to exist in their body. Now when I talk about inorganic, they are basically found as your, like example, if we take up example, we have carbon dioxide, carbon tetrachloride as carbonates or as bicarbonates. So these are what? Inorganic carbon compounds. Then coming to the organic. In the organic, we basically have all the varieties of nutrients like carbohydrates, proteins, fats, vitamins, and the very most important, the nucleic acid. What is your nucleic acid? Nothing but your DNA and RNA. So now I hope you can have understood that without carbon there is no nucleic acid, and when there is no nucleic acid there is no life existing on the earth. So every part of the living body is going to contain what? These carbon based compounds. The wood, bark, even the fossil fuels. What are your fossil fuels? The remains of the living matter, isn't it? So that means, so any living form, whether it is dead or alive, will definitely have the carbon based compounds, and that's why we call them as what? Organic compounds. Am I clear, children? So now, then as I told, we had one more question. Why carbon is able to show these many number of compounds? Okay, what is the reason? So just we will have a little discussion about why it is able to show those many